what we're doing today is finishing up the training on the process tools page. So I'm going to go there. So hit 4 key functions here on the dashboard. And then I'm going to go to doing the business because that's where my process is that I'm using for the training. So now we're in the doing the business function. And you can see it says doing the business right up here. That's how I know that I'm in this function. Also, these other 3 functions are listed here at the top, and I can toggle back and forth to them right here, but I know I'm in doing because I can see it right here at the top. So I'm going to select the process. All right. I've been using the customer complaints process for the training because at the end I'm going to highlight a few library processes for you, processes from our process library, and one of them is customer complaints, and the other is customer satisfaction, which goes hand in hand with customer complaints. So towards the end, I'm going to talk about those processes and why they're so important, and how to download them directly from our library and implement them right away. So this is called the Process Tools page, and this is where the documentation of the process is created. Last week we talked about work plans right here, the first of the process tools, and then we also talked about checklists, which is the second of the process tools. So today we're going to cover the rest of these templates. The work plan template is at the top because this is the template that you'll use the most. This is the one where all of the detailed information on how to handle a customer complaint is created. This is the template where you'll have all the detail necessary for someone with the minimum qualifications to come in and be able to read and study this information and know what to do. So it's always a good idea to start with a work plan. That would be the first thing that you would do when you begin to document a process. As you go through the tasks of your work plan, you'll start to see where maybe the other tools might be useful as well for that process. So as you're going through tasks one at a time, you might get to a place here where you're referring to a form that needs to be filled out or a document that needs to be viewed. And then that lets you know that you can use some of the other tools in the process down here. Or you might get to a place where someone has to answer something verbally. So they need to give information in a scripted format or answer frequently asked questions. And then here again, this is a sign that you would need a script, or you could use that template. So let's talk about scripts next. So to make a script, it's the same as the other tools. I just click the header here, right on the icon where it says scripts, and then I'm prompted for the title. So you'd put in the title of your script, and then you hit create down here at the bottom. You can put in the objective now as you're putting in the new title, or you can fill in that field once you've created the script. So here I hit this create script button, and then you see I've got this newly made script. If you look down over here, you'll also see it listed underneath the scripts. So there are 3 in this process so far. These 2 that were already there, and this one that I just created. When you have more than one script or more than one tool in a process, you can also drag and drop to reorder it. So you can put them in workflow order or alphabetical order, whatever order you like. When you adjust the order here, that then creates the order on the dashboard. So whoever has access on their dashboard to this customer complaint process, whatever order I put these tools in is the same order that will appear there on the dashboard. And I'll show you what that looks like towards the end as well. So if I was going to go about building this script, I just click Add Script Item, and then I've got a prompt and a script field that appears. Click Open the Prompt field. So the prompt is an explanation of what's happening. So it can be like a greeting, or it could be a question that's asked. So I type in the explanation of what's happening or the question being asked, then I save it. Then I go over here to the script side, and then these are the words that are spoken in this situation. So you'd say, hi, thank you for calling. So you put in your greeting, if that's what this is. Or if the prompt was a question, this would be the answer to the question. And then you save it. If this is the type of script that continues on, like it's a conversation that's going to happen, then you go add script item again, and then this is going to be the next point of the conversation, like why you do like the next piece of that conversation. If this is a frequently asked questions script, then this might just be another question, and then you save it, and then this is another answer. So the template itself is pretty user-friendly, easy to understand. The only thing that's tricky is knowing every time you go to the next piece of the conversation or another question and answer that is being given, you add another script item right here. And then that breaks it apart into this back and forth, which is usually what happens in a conversation. This toolbar is the same as the other tools. You can do hyperlinks in here. And all this functionality is the same as you would find in the other tools. I'm just going to save this again. Everything's drag and drop here too, so I can just reorder these into whatever order I want. Same as the checklist items, same as the tasks on a work plan. It's all drag and drop to reorder. So let's talk about different kinds of scripts and what to be thinking about when you're building them. So I generally see two types of scripts. There's one that this is an example of, and this is like a workflow script or a conversational script. It just means that this is a conversation that somebody is having with someone else. So these types of scripts are common in customer service processes, sales processes. So this is the sales process, how you explain something, how you assess needs, how you present what you're selling, how do you convince the lead along the way to then buy what you're selling. So sales processes, also very common. Management processes. Scripting gives the manager training and information on how they deal with things with employees, how they present something, how they deal with a problem, how they give appreciation. So those types of scripts and management processes can be the training for managers to kind of give them information on how you want your employees to be spoken to. Administrative processes like call taking, answering the phone, stuff like that. So in this script example, you'll see in the prompt side, here's this greeting, and then this is what you say. And then we go back to the next part of the conversation. So this prompt is kind of giving somebody information on what it is that they're supposed to be thinking about when they're speaking with the customer. Listen and reflect back on what the customer is saying. So this is what you want them to be thinking about, and then this is what you want them to say. I hear that what you're saying is, yes, I can see. Then you go to the next piece of the conversation. So I'm giving someone a greeting, I'm listening to their problem and reflecting back what they're saying. Then I'm going to confirm that I understand what their issue is. Can I repeat what you've just told me to make absolutely sure I understand it? So these are all listening skills. Some of this comes naturally to people and sometimes it doesn't. So building this into your process, into a good script, can really help with training and making sure your employees are effective. You can also do if-thens in scripts. So if the customer is complaining because it took too long, blah, 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 then this is what you say. Then if this is what, may I offer you a discount, then offer a discount on their next purchase. So if-thens are appropriate here. If they accept the discount, explain to them what you are going to do, and then here's the explanation. If they don't accept the discount, then listen more and say this. So it just goes back and forth all the way to the end of the conversation. So the prompts can be literally what that piece of the conversation is about, like a greeting, or it can be something to be thinking about and listening for, and then what to say about that. The prompts here, if any of you have ever done any acting, these are like the acting notes. So if you imagine a script, and sometimes it's even in italicized or red, like what inflection to use, what to be thinking about, what kind of feeling do you want to come across. So the prompts can hold that type of information as well. So as we're going about conversational scripts like this one, it usually happens the same way. I get a lot of yeah buts around scripting and with people saying, well, the conversation never happens the same way each time, or depending on the person we're talking to, it's this way or that way, or I don't even know which way. So I hear all of that. At the same time, though, studies have shown, and if you quantified it, somewhere around 85% of the time, it's pretty much the same information and the same train of thought that you would go through to explain something to someone. Now, I'm not saying that the person you're speaking to can't throw you for a loop and it goes off in a totally different direction. That does happen, but the majority of the time that does not happen. It's just we focus on that because that's where it gets difficult. That's the variable. So you tend to focus on that. So with your scripting, focus on what's rudimentary. Focus on what's the same. Also remember that if somebody is having a sales presentation and the lead just asks them a question that throws them off into a different direction, they can go off into that direction and answer that question, but then they need to know how to pull the lead or the prospect back to the script, back to the conversation where they're leading them somewhere. So that's another reason why having this rudimentary best case scenario conversation is important, because if you do get thrown off, then the script, and if you've learned the script, it helps you to pull yourself back into the conversation. So if this conversational script here happens about 80% of the time the same way, with maybe a few variances that you're able to pull back, then for the rest of those variable situations, a frequently asked questions script can work. So if I'm going through this boilerplate conversation, or I'm explaining something to someone, and then they ask me a question or come up with an issue that I've never heard of before, I don't know what to do with, well, that's something to capture in a frequently asked questions script. So the frequently asked questions is for all these different situations and questions that may or may not come up during the conversation. But you want your employees to be trained in these things so that if they do, they can bring them up. A common example is, why is that so expensive? Or can I get a discount? Well, not everybody says that. But when they do, you want to have scripting for it. You want to have an answer to it. So if you build these frequently asked question scripts, and they can be simple question and answer like here, or they could be situation, like a situation that's occurring, and what's the verbal answer? When will someone get back to me? That's a question. Customer is still unhappy with the solution you're providing. Well, that's a situation, and then here are the answers. If you brainstorm these frequently asked question scripts or these situational scripts, and you put in everything you can think about that may or may not happen, then that starts to fill in the holes for your conversational scripts, or your needs-based selling scripts. Then over time, as salespeople or customer service people hear different and more questions and issues that come up, they can add that to the script. I was talking to a long-term TouchStone user the other day, and he was showing me his one of his sales processes. And they had started with a frequently asked questions script for sales that was like maybe 5 things long. And what they did is every week in their department meeting, he would just simply ask them, hey, has anybody heard or on the fly came up with a technique for in the sales process? Let's talk about it for a minute. And he asked that every week for like a year, I think. And it started off kind of slow, but the salespeople began to remember that he's going to ask this question. So they kept thinking about it. And it became kind of like a contest for who could come up with different techniques that could be added back to the sales process. And I looked at his frequently asked questions script, and it was like 20 prompts long. And became this amazing sales training for his employees. So innovating and adding to your scripting helps, over time. Scripting sometimes can make the difference between someone having to have X number of years of experience doing something in order to get a good result, and someone having, 1 year of experience doing something and getting the same result. So what I mean is, if you have a good script, you can take an inexperienced person and train them in your process, and then they suddenly have gained years of experience that it took another person years to gain. Another valuable thing about scripting is that it captures your intellectual property. All the processes do, but this in particular. So what I mean about that is you have a salesperson that's been with you for years, and over time they're gaining more and more and more experience, and you're paying for that. You're paying for them learning and gaining experience. But if you don't document what it is that they've learned on your dime, when they walk out the door, all that experience goes with them. So having effective scripting like this can help you capture that experience and see the difference between a really great sales employee or a salesperson and a not so great salesperson. So that's scripting. Next tool down, this is called the Uploaded Files tool. And there's no files in this right now. That's why there's nothing here. But if I click on this, then this is how I can upload a file. So what the Uploaded Files tool is it's a tool that allows you to take Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or PDF documents and upload them to the process. So to upload the file, you want to give it a name. If you don't give it a name, you're going to get an error message. You can put in the objective again, and these objective fields are all through the tools. They're just a sentence or a phrase explaining what is this file for, what is it used for. Then you hit Choose File down here, and you're looking at your computer. You choose the file you want to upload, double-click it. Now I can see it down here in this field. It's a sheet. And then I just hit Create File. And now TouchStone's taken a copy of that file I selected and uploaded it to the process. So you see the name of whatever your file would be down here. And now I know a file's here because under the Uploaded Files header, I see the name of the file I've uploaded. So you want to use the Uploaded Files tool when you've got a document, like a Word document, an Excel spreadsheet, PowerPoint, a PDF manual of some kind, and you want to keep those files in their original software format. So for whatever reason, if I upload a Word document, it's because I want to keep it in Word. I don't want it to be cut and pasted anywhere else in the process tools. I want to keep it as a Word document. An Excel spreadsheet has to be an uploaded file. So if you have a spreadsheet that is used in the process, like a master spreadsheet, then it has to be an uploaded file because none of the other tools here can do calculations like spreadsheets can. So that should be uploaded as an Excel spreadsheet. PowerPoint, the same thing. I don't think people do PowerPoint presentations much anymore, but if you do, then that PowerPoint presentation, if you want it to still be in presentation format, has to be an uploaded file. And then, of course, PDF is the same thing. PDF manuals of any kind that you want to be in an original PDF document need to be uploaded. Now, if the document can be cut and pasted, you can use the document tool right here to do that. So when we get to this, I'll go through what that means. So once a document is uploaded, an uploaded file, if you want to view it, you just hit this button right here that says View File. So when I click View File, now TouchStone's launching this Excel spreadsheet, and it's down here at the bottom. And when I click on it, it opens. Now this is a blank spreadsheet, but if this had content in it, you'd see it. So now this spreadsheet is open in Excel. If I make a change to this spreadsheet, so I add something to it, now these changes are happening in Excel. They're not happening in TouchStone. So this is TouchStone now, and this is Excel that's open outside of TouchStone. This file is the original file is still in TouchStone. I haven't deleted it by opening it. It's still there. But if I'm making changes to it right here in Excel, these changes are not in TouchStone. They're in Excel. So I would have to go File, Save As. So I'm saving my changes back to Excel. Now I can close this. And now I need to replace the old file with the new file. So I'd go here to this Edit pencil. Now I hit Choose File. I find my changed file, and then I save it. So I hit the Edit pencil, found the new file, so I'm replacing the old one with the new one, and then I save it. Now that new file that I added that information to is now in the Uploaded Files tool. So the main thing to remember here is when you view a file and you make changes to it, you have to save that and re-upload it. This works the same way as like Dropbox or Google Docs. You have to save what you've entered. If I don't make any changes to this file, I'm just viewing it over and over again, then I don't need to do anything. It's always going to, that original file is always going to be here. Now on the dashboard, for those of you who have used the dashboard, and I'll go over this, I'll show you this at the end. If you have an uploaded file and you view that file on the dashboard here, and then somebody adds information to that file and saves it, they can re-upload it back to the dashboard with that saved information. So if there's a spreadsheet where someone needs to add information to it monthly, they can do that on the dashboard and re-upload it. And then the master file will always be there as well. Okay, so that's uploaded files. Next tool down is called the document tool. And this is called the document tool because it's like a blank Word document. That's what we call it, a document tool. So I put in the title of the document, and then I hit Create. All the tools work the same way. Hit the title, put the name, hit the icon, put the title, and hit Create. Then I click here, right where it says Click to begin adding content, and now this opens. So this is what I mean by it's a blank Word document. It's got all the functionality that Word does. You can also build tables right here. You can insert columns and rows and build a table. I can use the document tool to insert an image. So if I want an image to be 8.5 by 11, like a big picture, and I don't want to stick it into the task of a work plan for whatever reason, because it's big, then I can insert it here, and I can even hyperlink it back to the work plan. This is just a blank text field. So if you want to make a list, or you want to write a letter, or you want to put in sample emails, this is the place to do it. The document tool is the most customizable of all the tools. Like you can use it for whatever purpose you need. The other templates, the work plans, checklists, and so on, are templated. They're fixed in a certain style. Whereas obviously this document tool is, you can customize it in any way that you want. You can also cut and paste information from Word into this. So you just highlight your Word document, right-click, paste, and then all that content will be in the document tool. You can also do that with a PDF. You can highlight, unless it's a scanned-in picture, you can highlight the whole PDF document and cut and paste it right into the document tool. So when I was talking about the uploaded file tool before and telling you how you have to view it, and if you change it, then you have to re-upload it, well, there's extra steps to keeping something as a Word document or even a PDF. Because if I want to change it, I have to view that file, enter that new information, re-upload it. But if it's a document tool, here once I save this is what it looks like closed. If I wanted to add information, this was something I wanted to change, I just click it here again, it opens, I change it, I save it. It's all inside of TouchStone. So if you have the option of cutting and pasting things out of a Word document that you need in your process, just paste it into the document tool. I think that's preferable to having it be an uploaded file because of the issue of having to view the file and then adding information and then resaving it. Okay, so that's the document tool. Next tool down, and this is the newest of our tools and my most favorite, is called a custom form. So a custom form it's like Google Forms for those of you who've used that. To make a custom form, you just click the header here, same as the other tools, and then you put in the name of the form, and then I just hit create. Now I see all these form building tools. So the custom form tool is used to collect information about what happened while somebody was running this process or doing this process. That's one of its big uses. So if the process, as someone is performing it, they need to document information about what happened, then the custom form is a good tool for this. Like in this example of customer complaints, as I'm dealing with a complaint, I'm probably going to make notes and answer questions about what I did so that it can be referenced later or I can pass it on to someone else. So this short answer field is for that. It's for something that's a couple words long. So it could be a date or it could be the person's name doing it. So in the title field, I'm just typing in the title of this short answer field. Then I hit save, and now you'll see here, the title shows up here, and then it creates this fillable area on the form for someone to fill in the date or their name. The paragraph field is for more information. So this could be notes or comments about what happened. And then I save this, and then you'll see here again, this is the title field. And then this fillable field has these little arrows because it expands infinitely. You can type in as much information as you want in there. So you can go through asking questions, asking for notes, asking for comments. And then the idea is on the dashboard, an employee logs into TouchStone. They go right to their dashboard. They click the form they're going to fill out. They fill it out, and they save it back to TouchStone. So again, here at the end, I'm going to show you what that looks like. But these are web forms, so they're best used on the internet inside of TouchStone. Having said that, you can always print them. So this is, again, the export feature. So you can print these to a PDF or email them if you wanted to. You can also ask questions. So here's the multiple choice option. Multiple choice allows them to have one answer. So you can only choose one answer. So if this was a question, you would give choices for how they would answer it. You can add more choices by hitting this little plus sign here. So you see now I've got another choice. I can delete choices by hitting the negative, so now that choice went away. And then when I save this, this is what it looks like. So this is good for questions, but remember with multiple choice, they can only choose one answer. You can't choose multiple answers. If you want them to be able to choose multiple answers or check off multiple things, then use the checklist boxes. So this is the same idea. Let's say how you'd ask the question, and then you give multiple choices that they can choose many from. So they can check off that they did 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously, you can add more here. And then when I save this, this is what it looks like. So when they're using this, I could check A, B, C, D if I wanted to. Drop down, this is good for yes, no questions. It's also good if you have a long list of things because the drop down scrunches down to a drop down. So this could be, are they happy? So you can ask a question and the choice would be yes or no, or you can even put maybe or don't know. And then same idea, save it, and now this is a drop down of those choices. When you give someone a yes, no, or a maybe, or I don't know option, you can also do a paragraph under it like this and just put if, maybe, why. And then that gives a field down here for when they answer the question up here, you want more information about that down here. All of this is drag and drop too, so I can reorder all of these just by pulling them up and down. If you've added something and then you want to edit it, you just click and then it opens back in this view. These are drag and drop as well, so I can reorder my choices if I want to on this view screen, and then I save it. So this is the how to build the custom form. So down here, here's an example of a custom form. So this is like a customer complaint form that someone would fill out. This is like a short answer field right here. This is the question you're asking, the approximate date, action taken. Here's questions down here. So this is a form, again, that someone would fill out to give you information. There's another use of the custom form, which I think is really good, and that is to create a test. So this is the customer complaint new employee test. So the idea is someone who's new to the company and being trained, they would go to their dashboard, they'd study the customer complaint process, they would memorize the scripts, they would practice them, they'd listen to videos or watch videos if you had them down here, they'd practice with the forms, and when they felt like they had mastered it and learned it, then they'd take the test. So you can build the test out in a custom form. So you can ask open-ended questions like this one. How do you begin a customer complaint conversation, or how does it begin? What are examples of what not to do? Give examples of things not to do, and you can make a list. You can ask yes/no questions. I think with these kinds of tests, open-ended questions are better because you're really getting the person to be able to think about it and demonstrate to you that they really understood what was happening. So think about something like this, new employee tests using the custom form tool. Someone's asking a question. So they're just asking about how this is used in TouchStone. So let me go through the rest of these three tools quickly here, and then we're going to go to the dashboard, and I'm going to show you how these are actually used in TouchStone. Next tool down here is called a policy note. To make a policy note, again, same idea, click the title, put in the name of the policy, hit create, and then the policy note will be created just like the other tools. This is just an example of one that's built here already. So the policy note is for policies, and I can just click to edit it and then save. So it's going to have a to and a from field. It'll have a date and an effective date that you'll fill out. You can say whether it's new or revised, and then here's where you put in the policy statement. So you want to use the policy tool when you've got something that's a rule, a really important rule that needs to be followed, something compliance-driven, some kind of rule that's imposed on you that is important for your employees to understand, anything legal, safety-related, safety policy, something that you as a company have deemed so important to your culture and to who you want to be in the marketplace that you really need employees to understand that whatever they're doing in this situation is affecting that. So anytime there's something that's just of the utmost of importance like this and you really need employees to understand that it's important, then you can put it into this formal policy template. If it's just something they need to know, a standard, a quality, you can put it in the expectations of the work plan. So that's right down here. So you don't want to over-policy things. You don't want to have 10 policy notes inside of one process because it's probably more just expectations. But again, if it's policy worthy, then put it into the policy note tool. You can even require that employees go to the dashboard here and complete the policy. So they make a note to you that they've read and agreed to it. I think too many policies is too much, and not enough is not enough. So it's kind of subjective, but come up with things that you know are essential and then build policies around them. Sometimes I see companies that have like 50-page long policy manuals, and it just goes on and on. And sometimes they're not even categorized very well. It's just this list of just policy after policy. Well, that's really hard for an employee to digest and understand and have relevance to. It has no context. It's just a list of policies. So we put policies inside of the processes that they pertain to. So rather than having pages-long policy manuals, rethink that and take those essential policies and put them into the processes that they relate to. Because if this is a customer complaint policy and I'm learning this complaint process, well, this policy is going to make perfect sense to me then because it's in context. Okay, so next two tools. This is the video upload tool. So to upload a video, I'm just clicking the title, just like the other tools. I put in the name of my video, the purpose of it right here, and then I hit choose file, same as the uploaded files. Then I'm looking at my on my computer for the video, and then I hit upload, and the video starts to upload. It has to be an MP4 file or FLV file, and there's different formats of that. Most everything is MP4 nowadays. So if you can shoot a training video for the process, if it's visual in nature, whether it's a screen capture video or literally a video that you shoot with your phone, then definitely do that and upload that video to the process. It's a visual representation of the process itself, which really helps for learning. So it can be a literal video that you shoot with your phone. I don't think we need, cameras anymore. Phones do great jobs of creating video. And it doesn't need to be some big Hollywood production. Just make it really simple. And the reason is things change so often, and you'll find ways of making it better. So if you spend lots of money doing this huge production, it's not, in my opinion, for training videos, it's not worth it. Make it simple and easy. So with your phone or with screen capture as well. Some of you have seen me use this tool called Jing. This does great screen capture videos. Yeah, there it is. So right here, I think you've all seen this before, but I'll just show it quickly. You can do, using Jing, you can highlight a view screen, and then this becomes the video screen, and then you hit capture video, and then I could be talking into my computer, and I can shoot this video of how to use software, how to fill out a form, or anything you can demonstrate on your computer. You can see down here in the free version of Jing, it gives you 5-minute videos. In the upgraded version of this, which is not free, clearly that's probably more time you can have. But in this free version, you get 5 minutes. And when you're happy with it, you just hit finish, and then you've got a video you can upload. Training videos should be short. They shouldn't, I like 5-minute videos, 10 minutes at the most. And it's just because people can't retain that much information all at once. So if I'm watching the video, make the key points that you want to make in that video, and then shut that video off or end it, and then shoot another video. And then people can watch it in pieces. It's a much better way to learn, kind of in pieces rather than an hour-long video. One more thing about videos. The video does not replace the documentation of the process. Said another way, the video is not the documentation of the process. It's just a video. The reason is in most cases, I can't learn everything I need to learn about how to do customer complaints by watching a video. I won't remember it all. There'd just be no way. So the work plan, which is the step-by-step, is how I have all the detailed information on how to do the steps of this as I'm going through it. It can be all of that can be highlighted and demonstrated in a video, but the video itself can't replace this content. If this is step-driven also, if I'm at step number 3 here and there's no step-by-step and I'm just watching a video, I can't remember what happened in step number 3. And to rewind the video to try to find step 3 in order to know what to do, it doesn't work well. So videos enhance the documentation. They provide more for the documentation, but they aren't the documentation itself. Next tool down here is called audio. And are just flat MP3 files, no video files. So it's the same thing. You give it a title, you hit choose file, you find your MP3 file, you hit save, and then it uploads. The upload time for MP3 files is quick. It goes pretty fast. Videos, on the other hand, take about 1/3 of the time of the video to upload. So you'll have to wait if you have a long video, especially if it's an hour-long video. It could take 15 minutes for it to upload to TouchStone, depending on your internet speed. But once it's uploaded, there's no load or reload. It's there in TouchStone once it's uploaded. For video and audio files, you can also download them once they're uploaded. So this is the download button right here. So once it's in TouchStone, if you ever want it out, it's easy with just one click. It'll download it back to your computer. This is a cool technique with audio. So if a process has a script in it, I think it's a good idea to do a role play of the script or have some actual real-life conversations so the person can hear how it's supposed to sound. We don't know how we sound until we listen to ourselves. And you can tell someone, say it this way, but unless they can hear what that sounds like, or you could say, don't say it this way, and unless they can hear what that sounds like, it doesn't have a big impression. So you can do, what's the customer complaint resolution example? And then this down here I think is clever, an example of how not to do it or how not to sound. And if somebody can hear that, then again, it helps them to understand why you're asking people to use a certain tone or to say things a certain way. Okay, so let's go to the dashboard here. So this is a dashboard for a customer service position. And if you have an employee who you give access to TouchStone, they're not a manager, they're not going to see the management area here. It looks pretty clean for them. All they do is log into the dashboard. They're going to see their process, right, or their control panel right here, the position they fill. When they select it, it then shows them all their processes that they're responsible for. So pretty straightforward and easy for just everyday employees. These are all the processes from the customer service person's job description on the org chart. That's how they got here. I created the job description here on the org chart, and then when I assigned someone in account administration to the customer support position, all those processes appeared in the dashboard. Now, I've used this group tool here to create these groups, and then I organized the processes. So this is my customer service processes. These are my checklists. If you have like checklists that someone is doing every day or every week, sometimes it's nice to isolate them into one group so people can zero in on them quickly. These are admin processes. This is a group called reference materials. I kind of like this group title because sometimes there are processes where I don't really use these all the time. I just need them when I need them. Another word I've used or seen used is on demand. So the group would be called on demand, and they would just be processes that you do sometimes. And then you can also do a group called do not use if that's relevant to the employee. So either these two processes are not documented yet and I don't want the person using them, or I may have 4 customer service people and one person, because they have more time, does these two, but this customer service person doesn't. So I create a group and call it do not use and move those processes into it down here. These little green check marks are training check marks. So my manager has gone in through management review and marked me as trained in these processes. So that's what it means. When I look at these, I know I've been trained, or I should have been trained. And these little green check marks appear. So if we go to the customer complaint process right here, so here it is. Now, I can look at these 2 work plans here if I was going to handle a customer complaint, and I could just remind myself of what to do. Generally, in the dashboard, these work plans are used for training. Like if I don't know how to do something, then I can go in and study and read these. Or they're just used for reference if I forgot how to do it. So when somebody clicks a work plan here, then you can go in and read this information. It just shows you the work plan here in the dashboard. It can be saved and a note can be made if you want to, but normally the work plans aren't really, other than for reference, aren't completed in the dashboard. A checklist, on the other hand, is used. So if I'm doing a customer complaint and there's a checklist in it, I just click this checklist, and now this is a copy of the checklist. I can't edit or change anything here. This is just a copy of the master checklist. So I could go in and save this as the customer's name who's making the complaint, and then I fill out these boxes as I do it, and then when I save it, it date and time stamps it right here and saves a copy of this checklist back to TouchStone. Once something is saved in the dashboard, I can also hit this print button, and it creates a PDF of this checklist. And then I could go and download this and save it somewhere else if I wanted to, or I could print it. But once it's saved, you have this option of getting a writable format of the completed checklist or a form. If we go back here on the breadcrumb trail to customer complaints, this checklist I just created is saved over here in this folder called completed. So there it is right here. And I could go back to it right here if I wanted to, but this is like where all those are stored. You can also run a report right here and see everything completed. But if you go back to the actual process in the dashboard, here it is. Now, if it was 2 days later and I needed to do another customer complaint, I just click this again, and now I've got a blank copy of this checklist. I save it as the new customer's name, and then I fill it out and save it back to TouchStone. So let's go back here. Inside of scripting, this is a good thing to do, like in that example of that company that built a really long, frequently asked questions script for their sales process. If I'm a salesperson and I just have the script open, just so I know I can look at it as I go through and answer questions, if I see something that, or I hear something, or I do something that I want to be added to the script, I can do look at this. So this is a note to my manager, look at this. And in the notes, I put in the new answer. So this field is for notes. Answer that I created, and I put it in there, and then I save it. So then my manager will see this when they're looking at my work, and this is a new thing that could be added to the script. So inside of scripting, someone may have this open in the dashboard just to kind of have it in front of them if they're doing something over the phone. But if they then find something new to be added to the script or notice some way it's not working anymore, they can go here and add a note to their manager and put that information into the notes field. So let's go back here. Here's that uploaded file I uploaded as an example. If I click this file here on the dashboard and I hit View File, then I can fill information into that spreadsheet or form or whatever it is. And then if I click here, Upload Completed File, it's going to upload that document with information in it back to TouchStone. So I was referring to this when we were talking about uploaded files in the Process Tools page. So this is what literally happens. Every time I hit View File, I'm going to get the master file, the master spreadsheet. But if I add information to it, like I'm putting in dates or numbers or information that is being asked of me into a spreadsheet or a form, and then I go Upload Completed File, I can take that document or file and upload it back to the dashboard. So let's go back here. This is the custom forms. So this is that customer complaint form. If I click this, now I've got a blank copy of this form. It's the same idea as the checklist, and I could save this as the person's name who's making the complaint. And then these fields are all live now. So I can put in the work order number, and then I put in the telephone number and the address. I go through and fill out all of these fields. I can answer these questions or check off things that I've done. And then when I'm done with it, I save it. And then same idea, it saves a copy of it back to TouchStone with all this completed information in it. Here I can print it. If you've got an employee who's taking a test, they could be in their dashboard and they can go and read all these things. They can make notes to you that they've read it, that they understand it. And then they can go down here and take the test. Customer complaint, new employee test. They select it. And then they fill out and take the test and then save it back to TouchStone. So this is where they go to take the test or to complete the form. And then one last example. Down here is that policy note right here. So if you wanted someone to read a policy, if they violated a rule or they didn't understand it or you just wanted to reinforce it, you could tell them to go to your dashboard, go to this policy note, mark it as complete. We always have this read and agreed, if I could spell that right. This is what we do at Business Design Corp, read and agree. And then they save it. So now it's date and time stamped it as an instance that I've read and agreed to this and saved it back to my dashboard. You can even go to like video and audio files. I'm going to go all the way down here to the bottom. And if you want someone to watch this training video and then mark it as complete as a sign that they've watched it, they just go to the video and then they hit save. And then there's, again, a date and time instance that they read it. When you go to a process in the dashboard too, you can also collapse right here. So I can see every tool that's in this process. But when I collapse it, it just makes it a little cleaner. Then I could go like right to the checklist and then click here. If this process didn't have an uploaded file or a document or a custom form, then all of these icons wouldn't be here. If this process only had a checklist in it, then all you would see is this checklist tool and all the rest of these would be gone. So we're going to have a whole session here on the dashboard, but since we talked about the rest of the tools and how to use them, this is, I think, important to see and understand. So let's go back here to this customer complaint process. And in the 5 minutes I have left here, I'm just going to talk about these two processes because I think they're just really important. You can go to Add from Process Library and Doing the Business into the General Process Library. And then right here in the C section, you can download customer complaints and client satisfaction. And I just named one client, one customer just to show you. You can edit these titles to however you refer to your customers or clients. So client satisfaction and customer complaints right here in the library. So they're right here in my system already. Customer complaints, this is not the library process, but it's similar to it. But this is the one that we've been looking at. I want to talk about customer satisfaction mostly, but what I will say about the customer complaint process is that every business needs, regardless of what you do and how you do it, needs some kind of formal process to deal with customer concerns or complaints. This version that you download for the library might not be perfect for you, but the idea of these library processes is that you can customize them and make them your own. So think of a simple step-by-step for when a customer calls in and complains or has an issue about something. What do you do to resolve it? What steps do you take to make sure that their complaint is heard? Having some kind of a form is a good thing, whether you use it in TouchStone or not, where the person initially taking that complaint, that information gets added and then passed to someone else if necessary. The reason why dealing with customer complaints thoroughly is a good idea is because it takes a lot for customers to complain about things. And when they do, it's important. It's a learning process for you. And I know that this kind of is said a lot, that a customer complaint is a learning opportunity, but it really is. And when you're, like all of you are, you're focused on having a process-dependent business, those complaints can also help you to innovate your processes. Because every time someone complains here, if it's about the service delivery, if it's about the quality of the service, if it's about an employee, all of those complaints, you can point those to a process. You can point those to a process which is creating that frustration or issue. So if I have a customer complaint about the installation process that happened for my customer, I could go down here to the installation process and figure out what went wrong. Maybe it's just the customer and they didn't communicate well or whatever it is. But if there's an opportunity to innovate this process, then I'm going to do it because that is an opportunity. If you don't take these opportunities, then it's just holes in the bucket. That's what we call it. It's just money just flowing out. You don't even know how or where or why, because these same issues come up over and over and over again, and 80% of the time customers don't even complain. They just fire you and move on to someone else, and you don't even know it. So let's go to customer satisfaction. Most of you haven't seen this. And it depends on your industry, but every time you have a customer's project complete or their service complete, or even in a retail environment when they come over and over again, you always have a chance to ask for feedback. So there are these statistics that I put together that I thought are good motivation for having a good customer service process and also having a good customer satisfaction process. Price is not the main reason for customer churn. It's actually due to overall poor quality of service. I think this is a yeah, but that I hear all the time. Well, we're more expensive, that's why. That's not why. A customer is 4 times more likely to defect to a competitor if a problem is service related, not price. The probability of selling to an existing customer is 60 to 70%. The probability of selling to a new prospect is 5 to 20. What does that tell you? It tells you that you need to keep your customers happy. Number 4 is a good one. For every customer complaint, there are 25 other unhappy customers who remain silent. This is true. So this is why having just a customer complaint process isn't enough. You need to have a customer satisfaction process. Because 26 times, whatever the percentage is of that, you're not even hearing from these people. They're just disappearing. So what if you called them? What if you sent them an email? What if you reached out to them and said, how did it go? And got the answer to that. 2% increase in customer retention has the same effect of decreasing costs by 10%. This is that holes in the bucket that I was talking about. 96% of unhappy customers don't complain. However, 91 of those will simply leave and never come back. So 6 is kind of the same as 4. So I don't need to read all these to you. These are in the process itself if you want to read them to kind of provide motivation. We all get so busy just doing everything that we're doing in our businesses. We don't think about stuff like this because we just don't have time to think about it. A customer satisfaction process like this one can help you see what the real issues are. So there's a work plan in here on doing surveys. Most people don't complete surveys online. This is why calling people, I think, is so important. And you can mimic the same thing just by doing it over the phone. Just having someone call and sit down and ask that person a few questions. If all of this is true right here, if 96% of unhappy customers don't complain, however, 91% of those leave and never come back, isn't it worth it, that 15 minutes that someone took to try to call to say, hey, how did it go? If you could impact this number, it is worth it. So think about what your version of this is. Do you want to do surveys? Would a simple phone call work? There's a checklist right here on going through satisfaction surveys, so you can have your customer service people check this off as they go through it. There are documents in this process. Here's one, a sample survey to email. If you're not going to do anything, if you're not going to have people call, you might as well email. It's worth it. Maybe somebody will give you some feedback through an email. This is a good exercise, and you'll see this in the process as well. This is a list of customer service standards. This is good for every business to have. So you make a list of what are the rules around customer service. What are the rules and the guidelines and the things you believe in as a company that you want your business to represent? Why should customers come to you for your excellent service as opposed to go to someone else? What do you want your employees to be thinking about as they're dealing with your customers and working with your customers? So you can use this and pare it down, but having, the top 5 customer service standards is a really great thing to do. There's a custom form in here as well. So when the service person is calling the customer and saying, "Hey, how did it go? How did the job go? How was your experience with our employees? How's the quality of your service? What was the timing like?" Whatever questions you want to ask, they can fill all that out right here inside of TouchStone and capture it all for you and save it, on their dashboard. Another thing I just want to add before I let you go is a lot of times you'll call your customers and say, "Hey, how did it go?" Especially if you have good customer service standards and quality service. They'll say, "Hey, it was great. Thank you. And thank you for calling and following up." And then you can say, "Why don't you give us a Google review? Here's how you do it." Or would you care to give us a testimonial? So at that point, then you're, reaching out to them saying, "Give us a like on Facebook. Give them an action to take." In the world of SEO nowadays, it's so complex, but one of the things that we all know works is Google reviews, and having good reviews on social media. And it's simple for someone to go and say, "This company, 5 stars." And you can ask for that. You can actually walk them through it during these customer service conversations. And what that does is it brings up your website high on the Google rankings and other search engines.